We've been talking all week about what isn't working. And today we're going to work on the whole idea of what's not working and how it affects the rest of your life. Now think about it for a second, because sometimes people tell me that they're able to keep their work and their personal life and all aspects of it separate. I'm here to tell you I don't buy that for a second. When things aren't working at work, they affect every aspect of your life. We're going to talk about that and have an antidote from each of us on how to fix that. All that and more on episode 844 of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, it's Friday, Tom. Yay!
Sure. And it's a long weekend Friday.
It is a long weekend. I told you my theory about that earlier, though.
You're more thinking about the short week following.
Those weeks are the toughest ones. I'm going to go to my grave telling you that those short weeks are the long weeks and the regular weeks are the easier weeks. I don't know why. It just seems like things come up that would never otherwise come up.
Or it's just because you keep using the adjective to describe them that way.
Okay. All right. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pledge that next week I'm not going to talk about short week, long week. It's a week.
It's 4 days.
Which is really not a week, but we'll let go. For the purposes of the world that we live in, it's a week next week.
So there are not 7 days next week?
There are 7. Yeah.
There's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
Yeah, there is.
So it's not really a long week or a short week. It's just a week.
A week. Okay. All right. I'm with you. All right. You got me. Folks, if you get to spend time with Tom, this is kind of how it goes. He likes to test your thinking.
Well, mostly because you were stressed.
I don't know that I was stressed. I was cautiously concerned. Yes.
Wait a minute. Before we got
it's fair. I was stressed.
Yeah, I think you even said I hate these short weeks.
That sounds like me. Yes. Okay. All right.
So
let's move on. We've still got to get through this week first. And we got a great topic. I can't wait to get to this topic. So do that fun part where you introduce things. And while you do that, people who are watching can see that we have very similar colored pullovers today.
And they're not even logoed.
They're not.
Unfortunately.
Oh, I would love it.
Color for a logo, though.
I was going to say the same thing. Yes. Keep that on the list.
All right. Good morning and welcome to today's Antidotes, our weekly broadcast and podcast where each week we have a topic and then each weekday we have a conversation around that topic. As Bob mentioned, this week's topic is identifying what isn't working. I think it's been a fascinating conversation throughout the week. And you might want to go back and listen to some of those episodes because I think there is some value in there to help you figure out and have some thoughts around, what isn't working and figuring out what to maybe do next if you seem to be stuck with that. Today, we're going to focus on the impact on the rest of your life. And as we go through that conversation, if you have thoughts or ideas, please feel free to share them in the comments. It adds great value to our show. And at the conclusion of that conversation, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote, that thing that we hope will help you. If you happen to be stuck or frustrated or can't quite figure out why, when things don't seem to be working in one part of your life, they also aren't working in another part, or at least they have an impact on it. And how you can figure out how to stop being stuck in that frustrated, uncertain, or maybe lacking a little confidence. Sometimes all it takes is a strategy or a system in place to help you go from chaos and confusion to confidence and control. And of course, if you have an antidote, please feel free to share that as well, because we know that it will add value to the show. And there may be someone out there who has been told this one thing a million times, and yet they've never heard it. And now that you say it, they actually are able to hear it, and it helps them figure out how to move forward. So please share your value. Before we dive into that conversation, though, each morning, Bob and I share our celebrations. Bob, what are you celebrating today?
I'm celebrating that a member of our Renegade Success Network that I've been working with for probably 3 years, 3.5 years, I think now, had a huge breakthrough yesterday. They were looking, we've been talking, they're a leader, and we've been working through how to deal with situations. And this person figured out the situation and how to address it proactively in a way that he had not in the past. And it was so exciting to just, and he just did it. Like, he just like, well, I'm going to do this. So I'm like, whoa, time out. Wait, we got to celebrate this. There's a shift here. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, this is the shift that, and he didn't see it because we talked about it so much. And it's like, this is what we've been talking about for so long. Look how this sets you up in this way and this way and this way. So it's one of those things that, you do coaching. Sometimes the breakthrough comes when you least expect it. And I think what was really exciting for me, beyond the fact that he made this huge leap forward, was that we could take a moment to celebrate it. I literally stopped him and said, whoa, time out. We need to celebrate this move because you've stepped up your game in a different way than you haven't before. And I think it was like, oh wait, you're right. Oh, okay. And I think what that does, and that's why we celebrate these things, is it's like, oh yeah, you're right. This is how far I have come. I don't think he would have noticed it otherwise. And I think seeing how far he had come in that situation encourages you to take steps that move you as far in other situations. So I think I explained why we celebrate and the celebration all in one.
Awesome. I love it. Are you tapping your foot again?
No, I've got the chair. I've got a chair next to me, and my cat was biting on my foot, and I was trying to get him to not bite on my foot, and I hit the chair.
There seems to be like a tapping noise.
All right.
Tapping your microphone.
Okay. I don't know what. Is it doing it? That's me tapping.
Correct.
All right. I'm going to keep my hands where you can see them the whole time.
You don't have to do that. It's not necessary.
All right. So what are you celebrating today?
So interesting. I'm going to celebrate another Renegade Success Network member who has had this goal in mind. And it has gone up and down his priority list for a long time. And so at one point, he decided that he really wanted to do this. Okay. And we said, okay, great. Well, we laid out a plan, like a step-by-step plan of how he could achieve it by the timeline by which he wanted to achieve it. So we happen to be
action steps to achieve the goal that you and he had talked about setting. Okay.
And a timeline.
Mm-hmm.
They actually were dates set with this. And he was telling me about the progress that he had made. And so I was able to go back and pull up the timeline. Fascinating enough, and I'm not sure he had necessarily been looking at it. The timeline that he created probably 3 months ago, he's a day or two off of where he had hoped to be. And I'm not even sure that he had remembered what his timeline was. I think he had a sense. And I think to go back, I think it was really powerful for him to see that when you break it down step by step and you assign a time frame to it, it not only can help you move forward, you actually get to stop and think and be like, wow, I'm about where I thought I would be. I'm a lot further along than I ever would have expected. And I think that made him feel like he has some confidence and control to keep moving forward. That this thing that was sort of all over the place for him now has a plan, and he has, the fact that he's taken action on that plan. And fascinating enough, was not judging the work that he had done to that point, which I think was really great. He just was doing it. And I think it was interesting when he stopped and realized how far it had come, when it was something that he had been struggling with for a couple of years. So it was a really neat moment yesterday when he came to that realization.
I offer two thoughts in response to that. One, I think that's the power of an outside coach to help you see those things, that when you're in it, you're in it. And you can't take, in both cases, both of the things we're celebrating with our Renegade Success Network members, it's things that they were so entrenched in what they were doing, they couldn't see the accomplishment along the way. I think the other thing in your example is set the objective. We're going to accomplish this goal. And then you just do it. If I tell you, Tom, there's a mountain 5 miles away, our goal today is to get to the top of the mountain. You don't always think about every step. You don't look back and go, this is how far I've come. You look forward and say, this is how far I've still got to go.
Sure.
And I think sometimes it's the looking back to see, boy, wow, that city I started in, it's really small back there. And that mountain that I'm going up to, it's getting really, really small, really big in my face. That's the progress we make. And I know I get mired in my days and I don't see the progress. I see that, I've got another thing to do. Like, I don't see that next week is a 4-day week. That means I actually am in a place where I can celebrate Monday as a holiday, as not a working day, in a way that in some prior years, I worked. I worked that holiday for newspapers. I worked that holiday at another job where it wasn't a choice. So I can celebrate, boy, I actually get to have a 4-day week. Where I can say, oh, stinks I have a 4-day week. And I think having someone outside, even you doing it to me on the program, helped me to get to a place where I was thinking about it in a different way than in my mind. Because in my mind, it's like, I really don't like 4-day weeks. They're the worst. But when you give me a different way to look at it, I can't help but think about it at least differently for a second. It doesn't mean I can't say I hate 4-day weeks, but it also could be, wow, you know what? What a blessing it is that I actually have the ability to have a day of not working, because there's so many people that will work Monday.
Of course.
So I'm going to jump in real quick with some comments, Tom. Ed says, I would love to have a t-shirt or something of a member shirt. You might be able to make that happen. We got ways. I know people. Right, Tom?
I can work on that.
Okay. And Michael says, I'm celebrating a life full of interesting memories. Been looking at old photos this morning. Oh my, how time flies.
Well, it's interesting. I think that goes along with this, is that time flies because he's looking back at snapshots of, and those snapshots, while they tell a story, they don't tell the whole story. And it's fascinating, again, to think about, if you thought about all the stories that were in and also around each of those old photos, it might not be, look how fast time has flown. It might be, look how far I've come. Look at all of the things that I have accomplished, and know that I have, as far as we know, at least for today, another day to keep adding to that. You know, I think it's really challenging to see how far you have come. And I just, like with the client I was working with, and it also reminds me of that story with you, that when buying a beach house was the most important thing, and when we broke it down, we realized that you were a lot farther along in the process than you ever would have thought, which made it seem more plausible that it could actually happen. And I think it was the same.
Plausible enough that I was talking to a realtor about it. And I would have never, when we were talking about it, it was just the dream way out in the future.
Yeah. And I think,
and it also became something that shifted. And I think that's the interesting part to me. I was waiting for this comment from Michael. Hey, my daughter can make those t-shirts. Smile WW Rink Creations, love to help. I was thinking that, Michael, we're going to have a chat about that.
I love that shameless plug. Way to go, Michael. Good for you.
It wasn't shameless. It was apropos to the situation.
And I was saying, there's nothing wrong with shameless plugs. I think they're great. They also are opportunities to be sponsors. You know,
I was going to say, Michael, if you want to sponsor our program, we're looking for that gold level sponsorship. Tom, we have that page written, right? We can explain to them what that entails, right?
Absolutely.
And so I'm doing that after the show.
Well, let's start to move on, I think. I mean,
all right, let's talk about the topic. May I jump in?
Sure. Why not?
So I'm going to give an example from my life.
Here we go.
With a little bit of trepidation.
Hold on a second. For you on the podcast, you don't understand what just happened. For anybody who's been following this this program, this broadcast, podcast, whatever we call it. He ran his hand through his hair. And that has been his tell that he's getting nervous and he's a little stressed about what he's going to say. And it was fascinating that you did that. And then your face started to turn all red. So it's like, okay, this is going to be interesting. All right. Sorry to interrupt. Have at it.
So.
Oh, wait a second. Hold on a second.
Rick's with us. Oh boy. This is Rick. Rick Donovan and Tom have a running thing. Tom being a Yankees fan and Rick being a Orioles fan. I'm going to bet, Tom, that Rick just hopped on today for one purpose and one purpose only.
And as I have told Rick for I don't even know how many years, does anybody really start following baseball until July? I mean, come on, Rick. It's early. This is kind of a trend for the Orioles is they jump out quickly. And then what happens after that? Now, maybe this year is different. And I love your optimism and hope that this year is different. And we'll see what that looks like. And thank you for jumping on and sharing that. It's always a pleasure.
And the Orioles haven't won a World Series in 40 years. And I think the Yankees have probably won 5 or 6 in that time.
Yeah, they haven't won in a while. They're a little on the cold front. But yes, either way, I would agree. So.
And you have a cattail in my face. So all these signs are pointing to me not telling this anecdote from my personal life, but I'm still going to do it and come what may.
How about it?
Okay, so we're talking about what isn't working. So I'm going to give you a very simple example from my life. And Sam Hunt apparently wants to be involved. So here he is. For you folks on the podcast, my cat is clawing at my face.
I think he's maybe saying, please don't do this. Don't do this. You don't really want to do this, Bob. Don't tell this story.
Wise cat. Anyway. So yesterday, I had what I would describe as a busy day. I had a number of meetings straight through. And one of the things that I'm committed to trying to do that's great phrasing. Being in touch with my girlfriend throughout the day with a text every couple hours, something that we've just committed to each other to do. I did not do that yesterday at all. I kind of went dark for 5, 6, 7 hours. The reason being, it was a very busy day at work. There was a lot of coaching that was heavy level. You have days where it's like coaching is easier and there are days when it's harder because you're trying to help someone understand something that just takes more mental energy. Yesterday was one of those mental energy days. And I just was frustrated with one situation. I was thinking through another situation. I was exhausted by a third situation. And so what wasn't working for me yesterday in my work was I scheduled way too many things in one day. And I don't have a system yet that allows me to figure out how to balance that better. I need to go back and look at some things and say, if there are 2 types of this meeting in a day, that's it. There can't be a third. The result was it affected my personal life. And so I got called out last night on the fact that I kind of wasn't around much during the day and that, that could make another person feel like I wasn't interested or caring and all that stuff. And so I think that's what happens. We get wrapped up in a work situation, good, bad, or indifferent. I've had days where I have, a great day at work and I come home and things aren't the same at home. And I'm like, I don't really care about what's going on with you. I'm having a great day. Let's celebrate. And I think the fallacy that a lot of people have is that, I can separate my work from my other aspects of my life. And I think that that's really the thing to me. When something's not working in my work, it affects every aspect of my life, from my sleep to my eating, to my exercise, to my relationships, to how I look at the day. And I think that's a sign to me often that I see the effect of a thing that's not working in my work, in my personal life, before I see it in my work, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It'd be like, boy, I really haven't slept the last 3 nights. What's going on here? Oh, you know what? I'm worried about losing this client, or I'm worried about this thing, or I've got a presentation in 2 weeks and I'm still not sure what I'm going to present or how I'm going to do it. I know that would never happen to me. Or, more recently, I've got a presentation. I'm not sure if they're going to do it. They haven't decided whether they want to do it over Zoom or in person. And that affects it. And I think we tend to just gloss over those things. And I think the effect on our lives from these things that affect us at work is much more profound. I know when I worked in an office with the other employees, you could tell what wasn't working because you go to the water cooler and be like, oh, I'm having the hardest time writing this press release today. And someone's like, oh, what's going on? And you could commiserate with that person because you had that shared experience. But if you're a solopreneur or you're an owner of a business, you may not have a water cooler. The water cooler can't really be a networking event because you don't want to go in there to a networking event and say, I really don't know how I'm going to find a customer next week and I've got bills due, because that doesn't really encourage people to refer people to you. You can't go to your employees and say to your employees, hey, guess what? I got a little problem. I'm not sure we're going to make payroll this month. That doesn't work real well. And so we often take it to the significant others in our lives, whether it's a friend, what we joke about being a bartender. And we were doing an event the other day. We did a networking event where someone actually admitted that they talked to their bartender about their work situations.
Sure.
Which I don't think it was funny. I think it was dead serious. And so we need that outlet. And often we rely on the people in our personal life to help us talk through the work issues. And as a result, I don't think it helps because they can't really provide us with that support that we need because they don't know the work issues. And as we pointed out a lot in the last couple of weeks, their role isn't to be your work advisor. Their role is to be the support network for you holistically and separately from work. Like, I know you're having a hard time at work, but I still love you. I know you have a problem at work, but I still want you to grill burgers on Monday because it's a holiday. And separating those two can be difficult. I see Michael's got a long comment here. I'll read it. Life is like a giant puzzle. Boy, isn't it though? And identifying what isn't working is like finding the one missing piece. Photo. He must have sent a photo, but it didn't come through. Once you find it and put it, oh, I see. It's a photo. That's it. The missing piece is a photo. Once you find it, put it in place, the whole set of puzzle pieces, the pictures come together, revealing a finished product, photos of life. The impact on the rest of your life will be nothing short of amazing when compared to what did and didn't work. And I would agree with them. However, in that moment, that missing puzzle piece can be really powerful. Or it can be the thing that you're like, no, I don't see a missing puzzle piece. Looks fine to me. Either way, identifying it, I think, plays a really important role in how we move forward.
Sure. Well, I mean, if something's missing or something isn't working, it clearly has an impact on, again, whether it's your work life, your personal life, what else, is a missing piece in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to have some sort of an impact on what's happening in other parts of your life as well. And it's funny, I had a coach who one of her key phrases was like, how you show up at work is how you show up in life. And
my coach has said that to me at least 30 times in the last 6 months.
And I think that it's an interesting thought for us to consider. And it makes sense. We are who we are. Right. And even though we can sometimes try to hide challenges at home, at work that we don't show, yet it shows up, or challenges at work that, again, you might be able to sort of hide and yet it is there. And especially where the people who know you will be like, yeah, you seem to be okay. And you seem to be a little bit off. And I think that's sort of the result of this, right? Is that as things are happening, you respond how you respond. Like, I don't think we have necessarily, and maybe we do, some people do, a work response and a home or outside work response. I think it's just a response. And typically it shows up as similar. It might be different because some people might not know us in the same way in those two instances or multiple instances. And yet it is still there if we honestly look at what happens. And I think so often that's one of the things that we don't see as not working, is that sometimes when, we think, oh, well, this is only an issue at work. When if we stopped and really thought about it, it probably is not working the same way outside of work as well. Because this is who we are, this is what's real for us, and this is how we respond and react to things that come in that have an impact on us.
Well, and if we have chaos and confusion in our work, it's going to be really hard to have confidence and control in our personal life.
Sure.
It just because that's part of your life.
Or vice versa.
Right.
I remember when we had little kids and they were like in school or whatever, and it was chaos and confusion. Three little people going in different directions and trying to figure out how to get them where they need to be. Well, it's really hard to have confidence and control at work when I know that at any moment one of the kids might get sick at school and we have to go and take care of it, or they may have to be picked up from somewhere. And when the daycare is waiting to close until your kid leaves, it's hard to be like, oh, I got to stay at work and do this, and I have complete control over what I'm doing and what I need to do.
Well, I think we're better at seeing how our personal life affects our work life. I'm really, if there's a health emergency in my family, I'm very quick to drop everything with work stuff and say, I've got to deal with this. I'm not as good doing it the other way. Hey, there's an emergency at work. I need to totally focus on this. Tell the people around me, hey, I need to focus on this for 3 hours or 3 days, whatever it is, and then get back to my life. It's an interesting juxtaposition.
I think that if you explored that deeper, you might not say the same thing. How many times you talked about working on Memorial Day? Isn't that really saying that this is a priority at work, and I'm gonna ignore this holiday so that I can go work? Working at night, working on the weekend. I think it's easy to say it doesn't. And yet I think if we stopped and really looked at when we had things happening at work, how many personal things we push aside to go address those things at work.
Sounds like a week of programming to me.
Possibly.
I never thought about it, but as you say that, it resonates a little bit. I'm going to do what I'm allowed to do because this is, what's coming. Shifting to a different topic. Michael, thank you so much for your note. You have no idea how much I appreciate this note right now. Goes back to the photo memories and seeing the past towards the importance in going forward. You said it. This is who we are. Wouldn't change them for the world, and learn a lot in moving forward. And I think ultimately that's the opportunity, right? I know that's what you would say, Tom, the opportunity to learn as we go forward. I know I see some of my Facebook memories these days, and the life that I had at various stages in the past is not the life I have now. And it's not better or worse. It's just different. And I sometimes think back to that person that I was then and go, wow, that person didn't know this, 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 and this. Like I was looking at a memory from 9 years ago, and I was in a group photo and we were all with our arms around each other, very close. And I was thinking, boy, after COVID, that photo resonates more powerfully because I didn't realize how much of a luxury at times being that close to people was. Even now, I don't know about you, but every now and then I'll have that thought like, oh, what if someone in this group that I'm really close to has COVID? And so that changes that whole photo and makes that photo so much more powerful. I see Michael has one more comment. You guys have a great Memorial weekend. Very appropriate. It's full of who we were and who we are. Very much so. Thank you, Michael. You too.
Absolutely.
So are you ready to talk about your one thing, Tom?
Yes, I think I am.
Good, because I'm not. I'm going to wait for you to get. I'm still trying to work through what you said about 3 minutes ago. So
I think that, what I would say, my one thing is that, if something isn't working, it has to have an impact on the rest of your life because it's your life. And your life is made up of all of these different things. And if so something isn't, or you feel like it's not working in one piece, that's going to have an impact on other things. It's more knowledge, experience, and perspective that you have that makes up what's real, who you are, and how you show up in the world. And I think that that trying to say that one doesn't impact the other is like trying to say that you truly have two lives, and that they are completely separate and one has no impact on the other. And I just think that anytime things happen, whether they are quote unquote working or quote unquote not working, they have an impact on us. Might be significant, might be not as significant an impact, and yet it's still an impact. And so it changes what's real for us. And I think that the more we can be comfortable and aware of that, the more we can try to understand how to possibly manage it. Because that's the challenge, right? Once the problem was something's not working, we figured out, oh, okay, I understand this. How do I work with this so that it doesn't have as significant an impact in another part of my life? And, then the new challenge is, what do I do when others start to realize that I am holding back on something that is having an impact and not sharing it, which in sharing might be the way to help figure out how to move forward with it. So I think that we have one life, and everything that goes on around us has an impact on us. And so at least by understanding that allows us to manage it and figure out what our boundaries are around it. Like you said, we can choose to not have things in our work life impact home. Not always going to be easy, and there are going to be consequences to that. You could have, when working for the newspaper, said, I'm not coming in on Memorial Day. It's a holiday. I'm not working. You have that choice. There would be some.
Well, I don't even remember, but thinking back, that never even crossed my mind for the slightest second.
Yes, because there would be consequences to it. And I think you knew that. And that would have an impact on the rest of your life, right? If you chose, I don't want to work on Memorial Day. I don't think we should have to work on Memorial Day. You could say that. The impact being you might not have that job anymore, and you would be free to not work on Memorial Day again. And so they all do. When something isn't working for us in one area, it has an impact. And I think the more that we are comfortable with that, aware of it, the more we can try to figure out how to address it, because we would understand the results of that impact might be.
Let me jump in. Dean's with us this morning. Good morning, Dean. Tom was so right. Now, Tom doesn't believe in words of affirmation to the level I do, so that doesn't resonate with you as much as me.
Except it disappoints you that it's not about you, I'm sure.
No, in my head, I just write, instead of Tom, I see Bob in there. No, Tom was so right in noting the priorities that some of us have struggled with workaholism throughout our careers. It's worthy of a week's worth of programming. I think what I have found as a business owner versus being an employee, it's even harder as an owner. It is. I see that laptop computer so many times on the weekend and say, oh, it's calling me. I really should just check my email. I really should do that thing I told Tom I would do. And I have to really fight that urge. So we probably should do a week of programming on, am I a workaholic?
That's an interesting question.
Well, and doesn't it get to the whole how you prioritize your time?
Of course. And
right.
What's working and what isn't working.
So I think my one thing, Tom, is a little different. I like yours a whole lot. When I think about identifying what's not working and how it affects all aspects of my life, I think the reality for me is that I often I project what's wrong in my work life on my personal life and take it out there, and vice versa. I see a trend where if I'm having issues in my personal life, it manifests itself in the work life because I don't want to deal with the personal stuff, or it's a work problem. And rather than deal with it there where I can't find the solution in my head, I take it out in my personal life and say, you know what, it's the kick the dog syndrome, right? Or in my case, the cat. Come home from a really bad meeting and, the cat pays the price. I don't do anything wrong to that cat. Trust me.
Please don't get PETA mad at us. We'll be in serious.
PETA, if you'd like to sponsor the program, you're going to be in a bidding war with Michael.
That's right. Fair enough.
But I think so often, and I think about people I've helped coaching and people in my personal life who they're having trouble at work, and it's like, well, they're having trouble at home. I'm thinking of someone who's had some issues with their child, normal teenage issues, but it shows up at work in some ways. That they're short-tempered at work, or they're a couple minutes late for a meeting because they just need 5 minutes to collect themselves.
Sure.
And I think that's part of the chaos and confusion aspect of things. And control and confidence comes from being able to manage those things and also put them in the right boxes. This is a work problem. So at 5 o'clock today, as much as possible, I'm not going to let my work problem influence my personal life on this long weekend. I don't think I've ever said that to myself in a serious way. In fact, just saying it just now, I was like, whoa.
Do you think you could actually do that?
I think I would have a much better weekend for a lot of reasons. And I think I would probably show up at work Tuesday morning with a solution to the problem because I got away from it. I think part of the struggle we have is we're so tied to the problem, right? We're embedded in if I have a problem right now with work, whatever it is, let's say I don't know how I'm going to pay my my rent on the space I lease by the end of the month. I don't have enough money coming in. Hypothetical, it's not true. Hypothetically. Okay, I can stress over that for the next 3 days. Or I could say, you know what? It's the weekend. I have family, I have friends, I have opportunities to do things. There's a party to go to. We're having a cookout, all those great things. I'm going to focus on that for the weekend. I'm going to leave this problem in its box. And Tuesday morning at 8 a.m., when I come back to work, I'm going to worry about it then. I would almost guarantee when I do that, when I travel, it's amazing to me. When I hop in a car and go on a long trip, all kinds of problems get solved. I have the best insights of my life, either when I'm driving a long way or when I'm running, because I'm out of my head, because running can be so painful, or you can be so excited looking at the different parts of the world. And when I'm driving, it's just, you're in that, what are you in that theta wave area where you can actually think through something in a way you can't otherwise. And I think the other way I do it is I talk to you or to my coach and say, hey, I'm having this problem with this work thing. Help me solve this problem I have so that I don't need to take it home. So I don't need to sit at the cookout Monday and go, hey, so it's the 28th and 31st is coming and I don't have my rent for my space. Got any ideas on what I can do? Because no one wants to have that discussion over a cookout because they're probably trying to not worry about things.
Sure. Well, here's the thing, though. I think, from my perspective, I think it's really hard to put it in a box and push it away. You cannot focus on it. You cannot dwell on it.
That would be growth for me.
Yet it's going to stay in your head because it's having a significant impact on your life. And I think the concept is maybe that you don't dwell on it. You don't share it with everyone as like a woe is me. You just try to focus on other things, which allows you to clear your mind for other solutions. Or you address it, like you said, by you talk to a coach, somebody who is willing to have that conversation. And maybe you have a friend that you're like, you know what? When you're stuck, I'm happy to go up, take 5 minutes. We'll leave the barbecue. We'll step to the side. And they have given you permission.
Right.
Or you've given each other permission to have that conversation to help you get unstuck and try to find another solution. So I think that's I think what I'm saying is that it's really hard to just say, I'm not going to think about that at all.
Right.
Especially if it's something significant, you're going to be like, that's going to pop in your head. It's just not letting it overwhelm your head. That you have at least a little control over, I can go and enjoy the barbecue and know that I can take some time and another time to think about what the solution to this might be.
We've got lots of comments, Tom. Ed says, Tom was contemplating saying this, and then you mentioned your children. My situation was not spending quality time with my daughter when she was very young. I need to get work obligations completed. As I look back and now set more quality time with her, like driver's education, shopping with her in farmers markets, We have a great relationship. On top of that, my 6 horses needing attention. I look back and understand that when she was young, that she wasn't affected, and she loved visiting. And then Ed adds on, exactly, Bob. My stress that I felt over spending time with my daughter was irrelevant to our future relationship. And then Dean has another comment. Okay, I'm an equal support commentator. Thank you, Dean. I appreciate that. I agree with Bob as well. Separation is a great contributor to problem resolution.
Yes. Excellent.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Dean, Ed, and I thought there was Rick, and well, I know Tom would question Rick, but thank you, Rick. I appreciate your comments, and Michael, thank you for your comments as well. It makes programs so much more enjoyable when we have people commenting, and it's not lost on me or Tom how much effort it takes to type comments into a phone these days.
You're assuming that everybody's on. You always say that like everybody's always on a phone.
Well, the majority of people now are consuming content over their phone.
Doesn't mean everyone.
And I always have this fear that there's someone feverishly writing their comments at a red light or, as they're driving through their neighborhood, getting out to the road because they've got to tell us. I worry about that.
Can you control that?
I cannot control that.
All right, everyone. Well, I think that's a good place for us to pause. And thank you all again. I echo Bob's sentiments for your comments and thoughts and wonderful suggestions. I think that the information that people provide is awesome, and we really appreciate the value that you share. Ed's just saying that his comments are too lengthy.
And
he's being edited by Facebook. They're saying, nope, you can't put that long of a comment.
Ed,
your own podcast is what they're saying.
Ed, I've been told that I'm a man of many words and that I need to cut it down. So I feel your pain, believe me.
Yes. All right, thanks so much for being a part of our show and, of course, for your comments. If you're listening to the podcast, we know there's no opportunity for you to share comments. So we would encourage you to go someplace where you can share your thoughts and ideas with others who are trying to figure out how to go from chaos and confusion to confidence and control. And that's a part of our Facebook group called Sculpt Your Business. So we look forward to seeing you inside of there where you can share your thoughts and ideas. I did a little Facebook Live yesterday talking a little bit about checkpoints. Funny that I did that and then had the conversation a little bit later with a client about the value of them. So please feel free to join us inside that Facebook group. If not, we will see you, I think, Monday. I think that was the decision we came to.
I don't know about that.
Tuesday,
we might be enjoying a 3-day weekend. We might be letting go of work for a little bit. We're going to have to talk through that.
Here on Monday. Either way, we'll be here Tuesday morning for our next episode of Today's Antidote.
Hey, until then, folks, embrace renegading you. Enjoy the holiday weekend. And to those veterans and to those people that we remember Monday, we remember you. Thank you for your contributions to giving us the ability to be able to have a program like this where we have no limitations on what we can say.
Absolutely. All right, everyone, go out and enjoy your day. Enjoy your weekends. Try to put those thoughts behind and know I'll be with you. Things working throughout the weekend. And make sure you take time to focus and enjoy family and friends and a little remembrance this weekend. All right, everyone. We'll see you soon.